Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mike Armstrong YouTube channel and to the Mike Armstrong podcast. And today I'm joined by Phil Emanuel, who's a friend and associate of mine from the Intrabiz network, and we worked together for a couple of years now. And Phil's a financial advisor, and he's going to tell you a little bit about some of the products and services he offers and why they're of interest to you at this moment in time. So take it away, Phil.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I've been working on a sort of business-to-business basis for the last 12 years, and what I do is try to solve financial problems for business owners. So I work in the sort of business protection market. So technically, we protect like the families through a death in service policy. We protect the shares of the company through a shareholder protection policy. We've got a key person policy. So if somebody's in your business is key to the functionality of that business. So we'd like to look after them. And we also got a policy which covers the debts and loans that were in the company. So and all these things, would be sort of critical really if something happened to any of those individuals. So yeah, we cover most areas of the business protection market. So going back quickly to the first one, we offer a death in service product, which is HMRC approved. So if you wanted to leave money after your days to your family or your spouse, then that's the way to do it, because you can probably save yourself around between 30 and 40% of the premiums by paying it through the business. It's a cracking policy, not overused in the industry at the moment, but it is HMRC approved. Second one then is if you've got more than one shareholder in the business, especially if they're not from the same family, then you need to decide how you, if you died or one of the shareholders died, how you would get the money, good value for those shares out of the business, because not many of the businesses would have that type of value slushing around in cash at any given time. So then we put a policy in place where, say, the two directors, for instance, with a cross-option agreement, sort of insure each other, basically. So one gets the money to pay for the deceased estate in exchange for the shares. So it's, again, a good policy, which is slightly underused in the industry at the moment. But, it's the only way that you get the fair value for the shares out of the business, because, as I say, not many have cash slushing around. Third one is a key person. So if you have somebody in the business that is really key to it, it might be the sales director, it might be the top salesman that you have, and they might be bringing in substantial portions of the profit of the business. If something happened to them, then it could be very, very detrimental to the future of that business. So we put a policy in place to protect that level of income. And what it would do is allow you the time then to have that money to recruit somebody else and to pay the recruitment fees, pay the salary of somebody to come in to do that job for perhaps 12, 18 months until you find the right person. So the bank would be quite impressed if you had overdrafts and things like this, but the key person died. They would be impressed if you had that type of cover in place. And then the last one is, if you've got any loans within the business, the personal loans you've taken out and given to the business to help it grow, or commercial loans, or it might be in the form of directors' loan accounts or credit cards and all stuff like this that are attached to the business. If you died, then obviously, how would your family get the money to pay those debts off? So there's a loan and debt protection policy. All those are sort of standard day-to-day stuff that we handle within the business, and but it's vital really that companies put them in a 1, 2, 3, 4 really to see which is the most important to them in their particular circumstances. So yeah, that's what we're up to.
Okay, and is there any one of those products at the moment that is sort of needed more because of the current coronavirus situation than usual, or?
Yeah, I think the two that really stand out at the moment is the relevant life plan, which protects your family. I think a lot of people have had sort of shocks, within the family, or have started to realize really if something happened to them, how easy things can be ripped away, and it can take generations to recover from a problem like that. And the one thing you don't want at a very, very sort of emotional time is to have financial worries as well. So that's quoting quite well at the moment. So we have a process in place to deal with that. And the other one is the fact is that people are saying, well, how close are the businesses really to going out of business, and you'd lose all that the potential wealth that you think you have through the value of your business. But if the business goes downhill, then all that wealth is sort of seeping away, really. So a lot of the companies are looking to sort of protect the wealth within the business, should anything happen to any of the individuals. And some of the company owners, of course, are sort of more susceptible to the virus at an older age. And others are sort of, susceptible to other things. There's a lot of things in society today that causes problems, but they can all be overcome by some good financial planning.
Okay, good. That makes sense. And so, is there a particular type of person or business or director that you like to deal with or tend to deal with most?
Well, we deal right across the full range of companies in general, but my own sort of personal sort of avatar or favorite clients are directors of limited companies, because that then opens up the four policies, and you can have a good conversation then to decide which one sort of comes about. So if I was looking to find people who I wanted to work with, it would be directors of limited companies, because as I say, you could then talk about any of the four products.
Okay, that's good. And obviously, things are starting to open up again now in the lockdown situation. Um, you've obviously adapted and pivoted because I've spoken to you during the lockdown period. You've adapted your business to be a bit more online rather than face-to-face meetings all of the time. How do you think the opening up is gonna? Do you think you're gonna revert back to normal, or are you gonna carry on doing what you're doing online, or a mixture of both? Where do you see it?
I think financial services in general has been trying to get this move towards digitalisation and working more online for some years, but it's quite hard to get rid of the desire to print everything out and go and see people face to face. So the pandemic has actually made us all realise that we can do this. And when you were planning your diaries, a week in advance, if you were travelling and you put 2 calls in the diary with a travelling, that would be a full day. Well, now, if you put 2 calls in your diary, you're just wondering what you do with the other 6.5 hours in the normal working day. So I think there's a learning curve. I think people are using Zoom and all the video conferencing type facilities that are around. I think people have got to get used to being able to present online. So how do you share screens, and how do you get the documents in the right place, and getting that right? What's the social etiquette for presenting? Who speaks first? Who leads? When do you know to stop? And all this type of scenario. So I think there's a learning curve. We've all been trained on a face-to-face basis. We're looking at things like body language and things like this. So there is a learning curve, but there are so many positives that, traveling is one: less petrol, less stuck in the car, less traffic jams. All those are positives. And also, with just by thinking about it a little deeper, you can share these the documents and the quotations and the things that you want to tell the client, so they've got them the same time as you are looking at it as well. So there's major positives in this. And of course, you can, if somebody throws up an objection, you can validate it straight away by having the documentation ready to show to the client. So it does make you think a little bit more about the presentation that you're putting across as well. So I think it's here to stay. It won't be 100% yet, because some people will want to see you face to face, especially on some of the deals that are perhaps a little bit trickier, or perhaps there's 3 or 4, 5 directors. Perhaps you might get a little bit of that. But I think you can do the pre-work. You can certainly do the preamble and to see whether or not you've got a chance of talking to the client and they want to speak to you. Certainly, I think the first visits can be done that way.
Okay, yeah, good. All right, then. So we briefly touched upon the products and that. Is there anything you'd like to discuss about? Obviously, I think the main policy you tend to do is a big saving policy. It saves about up to 40% off the cost of life policies if they're paying it direct themselves, if they end up paying it through the company. Are there other USPs about that product that you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, I think that the bottom line of it all is I try to get people to forget about that it's a life assurance policy. The goal really is to protect your family or your spouse. Should something happen to you, you built that business up, you have tremendous income, holidays, lifestyle, everything that goes with it. Your legacy is everything that you've got, and it can be ripped away quite quickly by some type of terrible illness or the ultimate, which is obviously you passing away. So the benefits are that your legacy after your days is your family will be able to carry on their lifestyle exactly as they were when you were there. So, that is something, that peace of mind, sleeping, less sleepless nights thinking about it. So that is a particular favorite of mine, because I'm very family orientated, and I quite like the scenario of people thinking that way. Some of the USPs are it's a HMRC approved product, which is great news. You can save some money on the premiums, which nobody likes paying the premiums, but you got to have them. And also, the fact is that it's not a benefit in kind to an employer or an employee in any way. So you've got a scenario there that it's a no-win situation. You just got to work out with the advisor that you speak to. Hopefully it's myself, but you speak out to what cover is needed, and then you get the quotation for it, really, and then your accountant puts the business through the accounts, and you get the tax relief and the national insurance relief and the corporation tax relief if you're a company in profit that comes alongside it. And you can, most I've seen so far is 58% savings. That was a higher rate taxpayer. There was a director of a company, so it's massive. You got to get it. So why not use the policy that can be the most tax effective way of doing it for you?
Yeah. Okay. And is there an age range of when people tend to think about this sort of thing?
Again, if you go back to building your ideal customer, then you really want somebody, they got to own their own business. They got to be a director of a limited company. So that probably starts to come in normally around 25, 26, 27, where they start to think about it a little bit more when they get married. So they've got a spouse, they've got somebody that there's responsibilities, perhaps there's children involved. And this all sort of heightens the sort of the desire, really, to find the best way of doing it. So if you could make a chart of everything you wanted, you'd want them to be the owner of the business. You'd want them to be married. You'd want them to have children, and you want them, because you're writing life assurance, to hopefully be in good health, because that makes it go through easier. But as long as you answer the questions correctly, we can usually get covered in some format. So,
okay, all right. And how do people get in touch with you if they want to find out more or they want to have a chat?
Yeah, well, I'm on. I've got the normal mobile and company website details. I have an email address. I'm on LinkedIn. I don't know whether you want to share them later on, Michael. My mobile number is 07969 213 039, or my LinkedIn profile is Phil_Emanuel. So you'll probably find me on there, no problem. And all the contact points are on there as well. My email address is p.emanuel@cornerstonefinance.co.uk. And that's probably something, again, that we should get used to, flash it up on screen now and everybody can see it, but we're not quite there yet. So.
Yeah, and obviously, whereas when you were covering face-to-face, you were mostly covering South Wales and the South West, but obviously in your switch to moving online, I take it now you're able to deal with people around the UK.
Yes, yeah, we've got national coverage now, and we can find them from anywhere. As long as they're a UK-based company, paying tax in the UK, then we can cover them anywhere. I like to make sure that the people that I'm speaking to are comfortable on the first call, tell them a little bit about the benefits of the product, really, and then hopefully that they'll come back to me and open up a little bit more about their own circumstances, and then we can tailor something. I then go away, do a lot of my research and preparation, and book that time to go back, share all of the documentation I have with them, costs and everything that goes with it, but also the benefits and of the contracts and validation of the contract and things like that. So, but yeah, we can see anybody, in UK. Just been speaking this morning to somebody in Kent, and this afternoon I'm going to speak to somebody who lives in Bristol, and in fact later on this evening in somebody who's in deepest, darkest West Wales.
Oh, there we are. Brilliant.
Yeah,
all right then, so you're getting busy. Thanks for coming onto the podcast and the YouTube channel, and for telling people a little bit more about what you do. It's great to hear all of the things that you're doing to help protect people, businesses, and directors and that sort of thing, and their families, which is obviously the thing they care about most usually. And so keep up the good work, and have a great day. I know I will. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye. All the best. Bye-bye.